네, 오늘은 뱅가드 투자전략그룹의 치엔왕 박사 모시고 2020년 하반기 증시 전망에 대한 자세한 진단 들어보도록 하겠습니다. Hello, Dr. Wang. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Good morning.
So today we are going to discuss about three different topics. Let me first ask you about global economic outlook. What is your perspective on the global economic outlook of the latter half of 2020?
The good news is that the worst is already behind us. And down the road, we are going to see a combination of V-shaped and U-shaped recovery in coming quarters. But at the same time, we are mindful of the downside risk to the global economic recovery. So, as you know, the main economic consequences from the COVID-19 actually comes from the government-mandated lockdown and also the voluntary social distancing. Now, once that government lockdown is being relaxed, then the economic activities will rebound from a very depressed level, and the growth rate will start to turn positive, right? So that's what we say the V-shaped recovery. It is about the growth rate. You know, China, it is going to fully normalize to the pre-pandemic trend by end of this year. But other than that, you know, the rest of the world, probably it will take much longer, you know, more than 2 years. This kind of full normalization may not happen until, you know, like 2022. So this is our outlook for the second half. But of course, there are significant uncertainties and risks associated with that outlook, you know, including potential second wave, renewed lockdown, as well as other geopolitical risks. So given this downside risk to the economic recovery, you know, we expect the central banks will continue to maintain the monetary policy at you know, very loose, you know, in the foreseeable future, and also we probably will see more fiscal support down the road.
So it is obvious that COVID-19 is negatively affecting the global market. How has the coronavirus pandemic changed the current economic landscape?
I think there is no doubt that, you know, profound shocks like COVID-19, they will actually either accelerate the trend that's already underway, or they will lead to changes in the society and also, you know, consumer behaviors. So like any large shocks, the pandemic is likely to going to leave you know, permanent scarring to the economy, including business bankruptcies, permanent unemployment, and also reallocation of resources across different sectors. But on the positive side, I would say, you know, after the pandemic, there will be a change to our working patterns, right? Thanks to the increased prevalence of remote working and virtual meeting. So to a certain extent, that actually the long-term consequence may be for the firm to improve the productivity. But more importantly, or more fundamentally, I would say, the pandemic actually is going to cause the economic inequality to further increase, right? Because workers in traditional manufacturing industries and also vulnerable service employees, they are going to suffer the most from the pandemic. And also the very aggressive monetary and fiscal easing, you know, policy support, they will lead to asset price inflation. So essentially that will make the rich richer. We know that income and wealth inequality has been the fundamental driver of the increased populism sentiment and also anti-globalization movement in recent years, right? So that's why you saw policy, social, and geopolitical uncertainty has been rising across the world in recent years. So unless this fundamental issue is being addressed, you know, we probably will stuck in this new age of uncertainty in the foreseeable future.
Okay, Dr. Wang, now let's change the subject. This year we have a big event, the presidential election. So some polls show that the Democratic nominee, Joe Biden, has a growing lead over President Donald Trump. What is your perspective on this result?
Well, I think it's very hard to predict the result of the election, right? Especially given what happened back in 2016, right? So, but in general, I would say, you know, a Biden victory would be both positive and negative for the market. right? Especially from an investor perspective. When you think about it, if Biden is actually, the president, well, the good thing is that he probably will be more diplomatic in his approach of the foreign and domestic policy, right? So less combative, less confrontational. So that probably means lower volatility in the market. So that's a good thing for the market. But on the other side, I would say, he probably will reverse the tax cut, the corporate tax cut, right? And that will be quite a big hit to the corporate earning and profit. So it's both good and bad for the market. So I think the best result for the market may be a Biden victory for the president, but at the same time, the Republican actually secured the Senate.
Okay, Dr. Wang, we are now at our last topic, the Hong Kong issue. Well, last month, the Chinese government passed the national security law for Hong Kong. And in response to this, the U.S. decided to provoke Hong Kong's special status. And they even tried to undermine Hong Kong dollar peg. What will be the potential impacts of these decisions?
Now, thinking from the U.S. Perspective, right? Hong Kong actually accounts for about 8% of the global U.S. dollar OTC transaction, the third largest market in the world.
Wow.
So if U.S. really, aiming to, take action against Hong Kong regarding the tax system, it will be highly disruptive to the global financial system and could also undermine the credibility of the U.S. dollar as the major global reserve currency. So that is why I think, yes, despite the headlines, I think probably U.S. will restrain from, using that weapon, right? So PAC probably will stay in place for the foreseeable future. But I think there is no doubt that this is part of the broader uncertainty associated with the future of Hong Kong, right? And uncertainty, when we talk about it, uncertainty is very much like a tax, right? So that will make either business or consumer, they will discount the future more when they make decisions, right? When they make decisions about whether to spend or whether to invest. So given that, I would say this will be definitely one of the uncertainty that will be considered by global corporates when they decide to invest or expand their business in Hong Kong down the road.
Okay, Dr. Wang, I think this wraps up the round of questions that we had prepared for today. Thank you for your time, and I hope you stay safe out there. I'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
네, 오늘은 뱅가드 투자전략그룹의 치엔왕 박사 모시고 2020년 하반기 증시 전망에 대한 자세한 분석 들어봤습니다. 함께해 주신 여러분 고맙습니다.